Assalamu alaikum, hello, long time no see. Anyway, back to the topic again. I don't think I need to introduce myself. You guys know me from like last 5 lectures in any case. So I'm the same person, Dr. Khurram Shehzad Mughal, delivering you the lectures on the same topic, that is logistics management. Now this is lecture number 6, and what we discussed in lecture number 5 was the significance of the supply chain management or the logistics management. Now basically with globalization, with firms expanding across the globe, with organizations, production processes spreading across the globe, the most important aspect is that various products and various parts of a product or the intermediate products are made in different regions across the country. So when all those things are assembled at one location and they are brought along from different locations across the globe in order to minimize cost, in order to tap better resources, in order to tap cheaper labor force, whatever the reasons might be, the point is that that interaction of different regions results into a requirement of a very strong supply chain or logistics process. Now this is how we discussed the significance of logistics process in the last lecture. Then we also discussed that in what do we expect from the supply chain process, because we discussed that it is very important. The whole supply chain process would be adding value to the customer, and it would require the firm's customer and its customer, and firm's supplier and its supplier to be integrated with each other, to be integrated in terms of the requirements, in terms of the information and every aspect. But then I discussed under this slide that the reality of the supply chain is its scope is much narrower than theoretically what we discussed and what we hope it to be. Now for example, this is a schematic diagram showing that only for example 34% of the firm focus their integration on their first tier suppliers or the key supplier, not the supplier but only the key supplier, right? And then there are 11% firms who focus towards marketing and integration effort toward their first customer, only the customer, not the customer's customer. Now, and then there are only 8% of the firms that focus integration in both directions, with the customers as well as with the suppliers. But then the last part of this representation that is currently being displayed on the screen is that the relationship or the integration with supplier and the supplier's supplier and with the customer and the customer's customer. That is an important aspect, which is a dream or a vision which has yet to be realized. Now we also discussed that the supply chain is a multi-dimensional process. Now the whole supply chain management process requires the interfunctional coordination. It also requires inter-organizational coordination and the whole activity and process administration, because we need to see the supply chain as a whole process rather than smaller segments. When we focus on the whole process, then we look into the aspect that there is coordination required within the organization, like for example between marketing and sales, and between finance and logistics and production and operations, and all those are required to be well coordinated with smooth flow of information, without any politics or red tapeism sort of thing. And then there is also a requirement of inter-organizational coordination among each other, because when we talk about the customer and its customers, and we talk about the supplier and its supplier, if we look at that aspect, then the whole supply chain process becomes very important. Now if you just consider that there has been an order placed to you as an organization for provision of some, for example, air conditioning units. Now you are dependent upon your supplier for provision of delivery of certain parts. You make commitments with your customers for delivery date and time, but those commitments are based upon your supplier, and maybe they are also dependent, the commitment that they make with you for the date and time of delivery may be dependent on their supplier. So this is the whole supply chain process, and the aim is that to ensure that the product is available to the customer where he needs it, when he needs it. So the time and location is very important in this whole aspect, and to meet the target of that time and location, all those activities are required to be coordinated. Now moving on, our study framework, because there are in managerial perspective, there are planning, organizing and controlling and leading in 3 to 4 major areas, but our focus from supply chain management perspective is on the planning aspect of the supply chain management. Now the main aim of the whole supply chain process is to serve the customer, to ensure the satisfaction of the customer, and so in order to do that, the main aim that we discussed, that the product is available to the customer on the time he needs it and at the location that he needs it. So if we focus on that aspect, then the main customer service goal is basically delivering that product through the logistics services. And in order to do that, there are 3-4 main areas. The order is placed, the parts are procured, and the product is supplied. And secondly, there is a flow of information between customer to the supplier, and to the supplier to the customer. So that smooth flow of information is also a part of supply chain management. Now these are basically this whole thing, the supply chain customer service goal is dependent on 3 strategies: the inventory strategy, the transport strategy, and the location strategy. All of these actually encompass the whole planning process of supply chain management. Now let's look at them one by one. First of all, what is the importance of supply chain strategy towards customer service goals? Now, because whenever there is a certain stock of goods and services, either raw material or the finished product is held, it is held based on certain forecasts that have been made about the requirement of that product. So again, that forecast is very important. Then there are inventory decisions, that what methodology of inventory management is required to be followed, because if we accumulate too much inventory, then no doubt we would be able to tap that inventory whenever required, but that would again bear a huge cost. Then purchasing and supply and scheduling decisions, basically for that your supplier and you have to be and your customer and you have to be strongly integrated, that when that inventory is required to be filled and how much what is the size of the order that is being placed. Then other storage fundamentals that we have discussed earlier, and we would further discuss this again. And then there are storage decisions, like what should be the facility, what the type of the facility. There are certain items that are requiring cold storage, there are certain items that are requiring fragile handling and stuff like that. So we would discuss that inventory strategy in detail later on. Then there are transport strategy, because that is also important. The modes of transportation that are to be used, they come under the decisions and transport fundamentals. The mode of the transportation that are being used. Secondly, it also depends on the type of the product that is required to be transported from the producer to the customer, or from the supplier to you. So then type of the product also matters, because certain type of transportation mechanisms can be used for example, transport of glass or other fragile material which are to be transported with care. Then there are certain hazardous materials also. If you are in somehow related to the chemicals industry, then there are certain hazardous material also over there. There are certain like hazardous material, for example chemicals or petroleum products and all these. Now for them the transport decisions are completely different. Now if you are transporting certain books, then you cannot compare the transport decisions of transporting books and toys and computers with the transportation of chemicals. So there are so many things that are basically need to be considered while making transport decisions and making the transport strategy, focusing on the customer service goals. Now location strategy is also very important, that where the warehouses are to be located, and how that network is to be planned, that through which areas would be served by which warehouse or which storage location. and stuff like that. So all of these actually aim towards the satisfaction of the customer. So once you identify that your customer service goals, the most important aspect in that is that what level of customer service satisfaction level you are planning to achieve. If the customer service, we already discussed that if the customer service level that you are planning to achieve is for example very high, then the cost of you can say the logistics management process would also be very high, and they are directly related to each other. So now all those inventory strategy, transport strategy and location strategy would be formulated in that. So the focus area that we are going to discuss in this course would be focused on planning basically. So this is the logistics decision triangle that I was discussing earlier. I have already gone through it, but I would go through it once. The customer service goals that you are the way you need to serve the customers and the level of satisfaction that you are targeting is dependent on three aspects of the supply chain process. One of them is inventory strategy, the second one is transport strategy, and the third one is location strategy. All of these combine basically to formulate the logistics strategy triangle. Now customer service goals can be they are dependent upon the type of the product that you have, the logistics service level that you are planning to target, and as well as the information system. So all of these combine to make you define your customer service goals based on these three aspects. Now once you have defined your customer service goals, then your inventory strategy, transport strategy and location strategy have to be in line to achieve these customer service goals. Inventory strategy in terms of the forecasting and the type of material that is being handled, the storage mechanism, the level of the storage that you need to keep, and for example the purchasing and supply process and its scheduling, all those decisions have to be in line with your customer service goals. And then on the other side, the transport decisions, the modes of transportation that you are using, definitely you are somehow handicapped by the type of the product that you have in all these cases. Because again, as I said, that dealing with petroleum or chemicals is very, very different from dealing with cameras or mics or for example computer screens. So, and dealing with for example certain type of medicines is very different. Dealing with for example car tires would be very different. Dealing with larger parts of any for example construction machinery is very different from dealing with these books and laptops and computers. So it all depends on the product. So many of the inventory and transport and location strategies are handicapped by the type of the product that they have, so their strategies revolve around that product. But the main crux of this whole discussion, the decision, the location strategy triangle, is that once the product has been identified and once the customer service goals have been established, then all of these strategies are formulated to achieve these customer service goals. So the transport decisions would be different for different products, and the type of transportation would be different from these different products, might be different from these different products. And then another important aspect is that all of these are based on the customer service level that you are planning to achieve. If your customer service level is high, then cost would be very high. Then the location strategy, also the location decisions, which areas are to be served, that comes under network planning, that how the network is to be established through which the market that you are targeting is served. And secondly, which area, which location of the warehouse or would serve which region. So the whole logistics strategy depends upon the location, the inventory and transport strategies, and they all focus towards the customer service goal. One of the important aspects that we were discussing earlier was that there is a strong relationship between marketing and logistics and production. Now on one end there is production, in which, and the other end there is marketing. Now in between the link is logistics. That link is very vague in certain cases, and there are many overlapping activities between these two. But the point is that when an order is placed through marketing and that order is received in production, whenever they produce the product and that product is delivered towards the marketing, then there are multiple activities that are followed through these two order and delivery decisions. And once the product has been ordered and once it has been delivered, there is a whole logistics process in between that takes place, from the first placement of order, from the point of the customer contact where the order has been placed. That flow of information goes through the supply chain process, and to the end where the product is being produced, that whole thing goes through the logistics process. Now, so basically there are overlapping activities between logistics, production, operations and marketing. Now there is a diagram that is being displayed on the screen. I always assume that with such schematic diagrams, it is much easier to understand the concepts rather than once you understand the diagram, because that diagram would be imprinted in your minds, and once that diagram is imprinted in your minds, then it would be much easier to recall these concepts rather than when I have bullets and stuff like that. So that is why I try to focus on these diagrams, the representations of the concepts that I'm trying to express. Now if you look at this, on the left side there is production, on the extreme right is marketing, and in between are logistics activities. Now first of all, let's look at exactly at the center, where there are logistics activities that are purely logistics activities. For example, transport, inventory, order processing and materials handling. Now these are the issues that are, let's assume, let me express it this way. Let's assume that there are three departments in an organization. There is logistics department, there is marketing department, and there is production department. Whenever an order is placed, that order is placed from marketing department through logistics department to production department, right? Because flow of information is also the responsibility of the logistics management process. Now based on that, now if there is one department, logistics, then there are certain activities that are only the responsibility of that logistics department. Now these activities, for example, the transport activity, the management of the transport, anything related to transport, for example the management of the transport fleet, the routes that are being defined, the type of the transport that is required, the type of skills that are required to manage those transport, all those things would be the responsibility of logistics department. Then there would be inventory issues, that how inventories are to be managed and how inventories are to be updated, and so that to ensure there is no shortage of any product or any raw material. That would be the responsibility of again the logistics process, because I'll come to that again, what I want to say again. Then order processing. Once the order is received from marketing and the order is placed at production department, in between there is logistics department, and that order processing is the responsibility of the logistics process. The deadlines that are required to be made, because they are also involved with the delivery, then that would mean that the logistics department would collect the order from marketing department and place it at production department, and in between there would be the timelines, the deadlines that have to be met to ensure that that product is delivered to the customer on time. That is the most important thing that we need to focus on here. So customer satisfaction, I mean. Then that order processing responsibility of logistics department. Then there is materials handling. Now because their logistics department is responsible for the handling of raw material to the handling of the product. Now all of those are responsibility of logistics, because they transport the product, because again going back, chemicals and for example car batteries, or for example petroleum fuel, or for example CNG, or has any other hazardous chemical of the industry, is handled by the transport fleet. They are the people who would be handling that. So that is why materials handling is the responsibility of the logistics department. How that material is to be safely transported from one location to other location. And then when you talk about the product, then production actually produces the product and hands it over to logistics, and the delivery of that product is also the responsibility of logistics department to the marketing point where the customer is waiting for that product. So that how that product is to be handled is again the responsibility of logistics department. Now that does not end over here. These responsibilities do not end over here. If we now turn toward the extreme left side, there are the responsibilities of production and operations department. Some sample activities are quality control, detailed product scheduling, equipment maintenance, capacity planning, work measurements and standards. All those are responsibility of production and planning. The production department, these are sort of technical activities which are responsibility of those engineers who are operating those plants. Now, for example, the quality control thing is totally the responsibility of production department, because if the product is not of the quality standard that it is required to be of, then it would be returned to the production department again. So then to ensure that exactly that type of product is delivered which is accepted by the customer, then quality control comes in. Then there is detailed production scheduling, because there are orders being placed continuously for production and manufacturing of any product or service, any product basically. So that scheduling process, that when the product enters into that production assembly, and when, because based on when it is to be delivered, then that whole scheduling process is the responsibility of production department. And then there are certain other aspects also, because with the advancement of technology, certain assembly lines and certain production processes can be interchangeably used. We discussed that in previous lectures also. Now they can be interchangeably used for one type of product or the other type of product. For example, if Procter & Gamble produces Head and Shoulders and it also produces some other brand of shampoo, for example Pantene, then it is highly possible that the production, I'm not sure, but it is highly possible that their production plant for these two might be same, right? With obviously difference in chemicals and combination through which each shampoo is made, but their plant might be same. Now, if assuming that their total demand is not that much, they would only install one single plant for which they would produce Head and Shoulders, and they would produce Procter & Gamble. Now these quantities of Head and Shoulders and Procter & Gamble would be produced in batches. Now when they are produced in batches, those batches would be dependent on the order being placed. Now once the order is placed, then to schedule that order, whether you need to produce Head and Shoulders and whether you need to produce Pantene now, is dependent on the whole scheduling process, and that scheduling is the responsibility of production department. Then other than that, there is equipment maintenance, of course, maintenance and repair and maintenance of all the equipment is responsibility of production engineers. Then there is capacity planning, that when do we need to expand. For example, if the current capacity is able to meet that much demand, then if the demand is more, then we need to expand or increase our production capacity. That is the responsibility of engineers, because once you tell them that this much quantity is required, they need to arrange that quantity. Now if their current production facility cannot produce that quantity, then it is their responsibility to let you know. Then there are work measurement and standards to ensure the quality of the product, that the set standards of the product is produced. And secondly, the work environment standard, also health and safety codes, all those things are responsibility of the production department. Now if you see that there is something in between, the area that is covered by a red box. Now that red box shows the interface activities that are overlapping between logistics as well as between production department. Now one of those activities is product shed scheduling, the other one is plant location, and the third one is purchasing. Now product scheduling is why it is the responsibility of logistics as well as production, because production can technically define that how much quantity and in which batches the quantity is to be produced. Then logistics is the responsible for delivering that product to the customer, depending upon the distance through which that product has to go through before the final delivery is made, dependent upon to ensuring the customer service goals that they have defined, that in this much time that product is to be delivered. Then product scheduling, because the order processing responsibility of logistics, they are the ones who make commitments to the customers through marketing that this is the time that the product would be delivered to you. So based on that, the product scheduling is also the responsibility of logistics, as well as it is the responsibility of productions and operations department. Then talking about the plant location, because when they place the order, there might be various different plants located in different regions. There might be, from the planning aspect also, there might be planning to install a new plant. Then that the location of that plant, whether it is an existing plant for the delivery of certain product or a service, or whether it is a new plant that is to be established for delivery of products and services to a certain area, that comes under the responsibility of logistics as well as production and operations, because production and operations need to see that facility, that if the location is this one, then whether we would be, the environment is okay for production of that product, whether how the waste would be disposed of, how the manpower would be arranged, and all those aspects that are related to physical production of the good and service. But then logistics also comes in, because they need to see that from that point the product is to be delivered to certain region, and that is the responsibility of logistics again. So the location of the plant is not only the prerogative of production, but logistics department has also a say in it. Then there is purchasing, that because the orders for purchasing raw materials or any other thing or intermediate goods is placed by production department, and that is dependent on the order processing of logistics. And then those items are required to be delivered to the production facility for well in time production of the good or service, so that it can be delivered to the customer. So based on that, logistics departments has also a say in it. You see, so there are interfacing activities which are the responsibility of both of these areas, that is production and operations, and that is logistics also. So they are very much overlapping with each other. There are their independent activities which are the prerogative of these two departments only, and then there are interface activities between production and operations, which are basically responsibility of both of these. Now, this interesting aspect shows us that the logistics department is also a very important department, because it is the link between production and marketing, and it is such a link that it has overlapping activities with both of them. And if we go on to the extreme right of the slide, then there is logistics. As I said, that let's look at them as departments, you see. So then we would be able to understand more departments of an organization. So there is marketing department. Now there are certain activities that are the sole responsibility of the marketing department. For example, promotion and market research and defining the product mix that is to be served, that is required to be served to the customer. Then there is sales force management. All these are solely the responsibility of marketing department. But then the marketing department also has certain overlapping activities with logistics department. Now these are, for example, the customer service standards that are set cannot be set alone by marketing department, because if, for example, marketing department sets very high standards of customer services, all those services that are to be provided to customers are dependent on the logistics department, because on their efficiency. So if logistics department cannot maintain those standards, then it would be definitely giving a bad name to the organization. If, for example, let's assume that if Domino's Pizza would say 30 minutes or less, that the delivery would be in 30 minutes or less, or we would give you a discount, or the pizza would be free, or whatever. If marketing starts that promotion policy is dependent on the production as well as the logistics, most important of all, because the delivery of the pizza physically is the responsibility of logistics. Now if you do not take logistics department on board for that 30-minute or less marketing promotion that you're doing, then most of the pizzas would be delivered like free of cost. People won't be paying for it, because if logistics department is not on board with 30-minute or less deal that you are placing, then it cannot be achieved. So you see, so the customer service standards that you set are dependent on the logistics as well as the marketing. Marketing cannot alone set the customer service standards without taking logistics department on board. Then there is pricing, that because the price of the product, in the start I said that supply chain process is about the time at which the product is needed, and the location at which the product is needed, and at the price the customer is willing to pay. Now that price, if you set the price of the product too low, then you need to consider the transport cost, the logistic cost, because there are certain regions in which delivering that product is expensive. If you look at like across our northern regions, or even go to Murray Hills or someplace like that, you would see that every product is a little expensive over there. Like for example, even basic cold drinks are very expensive. Coke or Pepsi are very expensive over there, comparatively to what they are in for example, Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad, because there is a cost to delivering that product. There are other marketing aspects also, that elasticity of demand, but if we ignore that, holding everything else constant, there is a higher cost in delivering those products to those regions, right? So if there is a higher cost, then prices are to be set based on those costs that are being incurred. So that is why the whole logistics process, the cost of, from the cost of production to delivery of that product to the customer, the price is set. You cannot, the marketing department cannot set the price without taking on board the logistics and production department, specifically logistics department. Then there is packaging of the product, because marketing would express that this is the type of package that is to be marketed, that the customer would need. But what if that sort of packaging is impossible to be delivered? Now, so logistics management come in, because materials handling and the product handling is their responsibility. Now if product handling and materials handling is their responsibility, then they should be on board that what type of product packaging is being planned. So so in this case again, the marketing and logistics have to be on board together on this one. Then there is for example, the last one is retail location. Retail location would be the point where the customers is served, the customer service location, or the retail location in which the customers would actually, the first point of contact with the customer, whether the order is placed or whether the product is actually delivered to that point. That is the first point of contact with the customer. Now if that is the first point of contact with the customer, then that point has to be served. Not only if marketing would say that okay, we need to go to, for example, a very far and northern area that we want to open up, let's say the marketing department of Pepsi say that we want to open up a shop in Siachen, or maybe for example at K2 base camp. If they announce that and if they open that shop would be empty most of the time, because if logistics department is not on board for providing the product to them on time, then that is not possible. So the retail location cannot be just decided by marketing department alone, but logistics department need to be on board with it. So this whole internal supply chain process, in which the internal aspects of basically the process through which the product is delivered, so are discussed. So the interface of logistics between with marketing, and interface of logistics with production constitutes the internal supply chain actually. which is an important aspect to see, because there are so many overlapping activities. There are activities of these departments individually. There are so many overlapping activities that if these activities are not coordinated efficiently, then you can say in case of failures there can be only a blame game between the departments. Because if there have been cases in which, like for example, if you see the red box activities on the side of production and on the side of marketing, you would observe that in case there might be, if there is a problem, then in a typical environment it is possible that the logistics department would blame that production departments were responsible for this, was the production department would say the logistics was responsible for this. So nobody would take the responsibility of these activities and whenever things goes wrong. So it is very important to assign the responsibility in such a manner that but still the point is that if you assign responsibility to a single department, then these are overlapping activities. It cannot be taken without taking the other department on board. So it is very important that these activities are well coordinated. Now, with these the relationship of logistics to marketing and production and these interface activities, let us discuss them a little in a little bit more detail, or from another aspect to just look into what I was talking about. Now, there are 4 P's of marketing that we have heard of. Now currently maybe there are 7 or 10, or I don't know. In fact, I don't bother about that. But the point is that when I was studying marketing in my earlier years of education, there were 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, promotion. Now, if you look at that, then when you talk about the price, when you talk about the product, then you talk about the promotion, they are responsibility of the marketing, fine. But then when you talk about the place, then that place is linked to customer service level, and that customer service level is the responsibility, is the interfacing activity where the both of these departments come in. And because of this we discussed the last schematic diagram, because if customer service levels and the place is the responsibility of marketing and customer service levels the responsibility of logistics somehow, then that box that is in the center is responsibility of both of these two. And if that box is responsibility of both of these two, marketing and logistics, that is why there are so many activities within that red box that is being between the interface activities of marketing and logistics. Now if you look at this, then there are transport costs that are involved, that is responsibility of logistics. There are inventory carrying costs that are responsibility of logistics. There are for example the quantity, the batches, the lot quantity costs that are involved. There are warehousing costs, there are order processing and information costs, and all these costs are actually incurred, and they all combined they all together they affect the customer service levels. Now there is a complex relationship between these boxes within logistics, that their relationships are affected. Like inventory cost would affect the transport cost, inventory carrying cost would affect the transport cost, because if you reduce the levels of inventory, then the product would be delivered again and again, so that would increase the transport cost. That's common sense, and stuff like that. But the point is that there is a strong interface between logistics and marketing, and there are strong links between these two, and if these activities between these two are not well coordinated, then that might result into failures, of course. Then there are for example, let's talk about the relationship of logistics to the production. Now the first thing is that the whole thing starts with the processing of the order. Now whether that processing of the order is by the customer who places the order, or whether it is based on forecasting that this is the type of the product, that is this is the quantity of the product that is to produce, that would be required in, for example, next few months. There are two types. For example, if you talk about Nestle milk pack, that cannot be dependent on the customer order placement. If I go and I place the order, then the milk pack is delivered. It is already available in the stocks. No doubt that stock maintainer or the shop is also a customer of milk pack, and they would place the order over there, but still it is based on certain level of forecast that the production is scheduled. Now, so now the link between production and logistics is dependent on two types, whether there is made to order or whether it is made to stock. Now those are the decisions as I expressed just a few seconds ago, that for example Nestle might make to stock. They produce a certain level of quantity that is stocked, and then those stocks are delivered. And then for example there are made to order, for example, that in case certain product is ordered, then that product is produced. So the whole process of supply chain is actually based on the level of customer satisfaction that you are targeting, right? So it affects the total response time for the customers, as well as it shares activities such as inventory and planning. Now if we talk about both of these two, the logistics and production actually are linked based on the strategy which is being followed, the two strategies that I just mentioned, made to order and made to stock, and also the scheduling process, that how production is scheduled. Now these two are the areas through which production and logistics are very well linked with each other. Now all of these actually affects the response time to the customer, because if you are whether it is made to stock and made to order, that actually affects the response time. If it is made to stock, then whenever the customer demands the product is available and you deliver it to them. But if it is a made to order product, then that would mean that there would be certain gap between the time the order has been placed and the order has been delivered, you see. So then there are based on these two, based on this whole aspect, logistics and production also share inventory planning activities. Now there are different costs involved when we trade off between made to order and made to stock, for example, just two scenarios. Because if a huge quantity of inventory is to being stored, then that would mean that there would be a huge cost incurred on that. Now so the inventory levels, the production lot quantities affects the inventory levels, and those inventory levels obviously affect the costs that are involved in maintaining those inventories. And secondly, it also affects the efficiency of the transportation system, because whenever the product is to be required, it is already available, then it is to be delivered, and it can be easily delivered. But then if for example lower level of inventories are maintained and it is a made to order sort of thing, then the transportation system had to be very efficient to ensure that specific customer service level and to ensure the delivery of that product well in time. For example, if the order is placed and it is for example to be delivered in, for example, 5 working days, then in that case those 5 working days are to be ensured, and for that the transport system has to be very efficient. Then the response of the production affects transportation costs as well as customer services. Whenever an order is placed to the production department, how quickly the production department responds to the placement of that order is again dependent upon, is actually what affects the transportation cost as well as the customer service that is being the level. Of course, if the production department does not respond on time, it is slow in responding to an order placed, then that would simply mean that the transport, for example, an order is placed for a certain item that is to be produced by production department. There are two options. If that item is to be delivered by road, that would incur a greater lesser cost, and for example if that item is delivered by air, that would incur a greater cost. Or let's make it by ship or by air. By ship would cost less, but it would take more time. By air it would reduce the time, but it would cost more. Now once you place the order, let's assume that moving by air would cost, like for example, a lot, but it would take only 3 days, but going through by ship would take 10 days, but it would cost a little less. Once you place the order was placed 15 days ago, but the production department did not respond on time. Now, to meet that customer service level that you have established for yourself as a strategy, now that customer service level says that once you commit to a customer, then you fulfill that order. Now, customer places that order by ship and in 10 days, but the production department does not respond on time, and that response is slow. Once that response is slow, then now the number of days left for delivery of that product are only, for example, 5 days. Now you cannot deliver it by ship anymore if you maintain a higher customer service level, because if you deliver that through ship, that would take 10 days and only 5 days are left. The customer would be dissatisfied. What you have to do is that, since you have already charged the customer the lower price, but you have to deliver that product through air now, through air transport, air freight, that would take only 3 days and the product would be delivered, but your cost would be higher because you have charged the customer for the ship delivery, but because of the lack of response from the production department, now you have to ship through air. Even if you are like for example, not willing to bear that extra cost, that would mean that you are compromising the customer service levels. You see, so there is a trade-off between these two, and the response of the production department automatically affects the cost of transportation as well as the customer service cost. Then definitely again the production and warehouse location are interrelated with each other. Warehouse is the place where the logistics department actually keeps all either it's the finished product or the raw material, whatever, or the intermediate good. The link between the production and the warehouse is the logistics department. So that is how there is a strong relationship between logistics to production, and as we discussed earlier, there was a strong relationship between logistics to marketing, and that is why this whole process, this whole supply chain process needs to be overlooked as a one single entity rather than making it to very small parts, and it would be very difficult to coordinate all those activities in a synchronized manner. So let's look at it as a whole. So now we see that there is a link between marketing and logistics, and there are interface activities as well, and there are links between logistics and production, and there are interface activities in those also. When I say interface activities, I mean those activities that are to be coordinated by both of them. Now, logistics, when we talk about logistics and supply chain, it is part of not just manufacturing, because most of the examples that we discuss usually are related to manufacturing, but it is part of many aspects. It is part of environment also, it is part of service, it is part of non-profit organizations, but this aspect has been little explored, and it is a part of military. It has a long history of it, because we say that the World War II, where the USA started a huge venture against Germany, and the Allied forces, not the US, but the Allied forces started a huge venture against Hitler's raid. The point is, it was a very well coordinated and the world's biggest logistics management that the world has ever seen, because from the bullets to medical to people to for example military equipment, everything, each and everything had to be so well coordinated, so that a soldier is there at the perfect time when that soldier or that tank is needed, with all the ammunition and all the things that are required to operate it at that given moment for that operation to be successful. So it was such a huge activity. It was such a big activity, and it was all based on the success of those missions were based on the logistics basically perspective, logistics management perspective. And then basically, in my view, the logistics management actually, how to manage that process, actually originated from the military angle. Then going back to the list on the top, then there is manufacturing. We have discussed many examples of manufacturing as logistics and supply chain areas. Then we talk about the environment. Now, I discussed that earlier some time ago, that in Germany there was a restriction that whenever there are cereal boxes, and the disposal of those cereal boxes was the responsibility of the shop, and there were a restriction by the environment that those are to be disposed of specifically in a certain manner. So what happened was that the customers would come in with their own plastic bowls. They would empty the contents of the cereal box with them, and then they would hand over those specific cereal boxes to the shopkeeper, and then they would leave. Now, that was another supply chain aspect, logistics aspect of delivery of or handling of the waste also from that aspect. If you guys remember, or maybe if you're too young you won't remember, before there were disposable cold drink bottles, like for example Coke and Fanta, because now you only if you want to get a takeaway, you get a disposable thing, right? Yeah, a bottle of 45 rupees made of plastic that you take along and you drink the fluids inside it, and then you throw it away. That is one way of looking at it. And before that, before those times, there were only glass bottles, and they were not disposable. I mean, you would have to return it to the shopkeeper. If you want to take it along, you would have to make some extra payment. We used to call it security deposit, and the shopkeeper would keep that money with him or her, and once you empty the contents and you give the bottle back, they would pay you back that security deposit. If you want to go to a picnic or stuff like that, or you take the whole crate of those bottles to home, you have to ensure that there is a security deposit with them. Now, if you look at it, it is a whole supply chain process, because those shopkeepers are not keeping those bottles for themselves. Those empty bottles are to be delivered to the production facility, returned back to the production facility or the original company. So there is a reverse logistics also, not just for the information but for those bottles also. You know, if you again in very recent examples, if you talk about the delivery of mineral water at home, there are like 20 liter or 21 or 19 liter bottles that are being delivered by many companies around here in many major cities. Now, once you get that bottle from them, you pay a certain amount of security deposit and that bottle is yours. But every time when they come to deliver, the bottle is changed. You have deposited 500 rupees, for example. It used to be 500, that is how I remember it. It used to be 500, so that bottle is mine for 500 rupees. When they come next time, they place that bottle, the new filled bottle over here in my house, and they take that empty bottle. You see, there is a whole supply chain process. So, but these two aspects that I just discussed, these are not associated only to manufacturing, but these are environmental aspects also. Those glass bottles I was talking about the cold drinks in glass bottles earlier, that was an environmental aspect, so that those bottles are, so that waste is not generated. And currently in developed countries, when you talk about plastic bottles that we throw away in various locations, in many developed countries, it is important to throw them in a specific location so that the waste is managed, so that they are not, they are hazardous material, so they do not cause any harm to the environment. Then there are services, which are very emerging opportunities in the supply chain and logistics aspect. Now, what type of a services I'm talking about? Because once we look at a service, then there is always some products that are flowing. They're physical goods. I'm not just talking about when we imagine service, we only consider some guy coming and repairing something. But that's just not it. There is always a flow of physical goods that are associated with those services. For example, Serena and Marriott hotel chains are services, hoteling services. they also have a huge supply chain process to ensure that environment that they have committed to you is provided, with the bed sheets and bed cloths and shampoos and soaps and shoes and everything that is to the food, everything that they have committed to you will be provided, is provided. Then there are services like banks, for example. Right now, the cash is a physical good that is required to be moved. Then there are so many aspects of the operational things that are required by the bank, stationery and paper and whatever, and the checkbooks. And then, for example, for the delivery of one single check from one location to other location, they do process your orders online, but then in the end the accounts have to be settled. So for that settling of those accounts, those checks are to be delivered from one location to other location, and as well as the cash is delivered from one location to other location. So there is a whole supply chain process involved in that. And once you again, if I place a check and I deposit a check of, for example, Askri Bank in a UBL, and they process it, and once the check is sent to Askri Bank, that check bounces back. There is some error with it. That check is now to be delivered back to me, the reverse supply chain process. So again, in the service sector also, there are the whole supply chain aspects involved. Then about non-for-profit organizations, these areas have been little explored, but they are, in my view, extensively utilizing the logistics and supply chain activities. When you talk about, for example, providing education to people in far-flung areas, when you talk about ensuring that there is drinking water, or at the time of any catastrophe they provide food and medical aid to all those regions. Now all these non-for-profit entities also need to manage the supply chain process or logistics management activities. Even if you talk about the religious groups also, now there are many, we call them ijtimas. There are many of those in different regions, and the biggest one is in Raiwind in Lahore. Now that for that ijtima to take place, there is a whole supply chain process and logistics process for delivering all those people over there, and to ensuring their food and basic necessities are met for those few days when they are staying over there. There is a whole process involved in that. So you see, logistics and supply chain is a very diverse topic, which which depends on the type of the customer and the type of the product and type of the relationship between those two. But it is a part of all the aspects, from military to manufacturing to environment to service and to non-for-profit organizations. So we have discussed various examples. Now I guess we are out of time right now. So let me summarize the lecture. In the very early part of this lecture, I discussed the last lecture, of course, and where I discussed the reality and scope and scope of the supply chain process. And then the most important thing I discussed was the study framework, that we would be focusing on the planning aspect of the supply chain strategy. So logistics strategy triangle is dependent upon the inventory strategy, is dependent upon the transport strategy, and it is dependent upon the location strategy. So the customer service goals that are being targeted from the logistics strategy perspective are dependent on these three strategies. Then I also highlighted the most important issue as well as aspect, and it is something that should be taken very seriously, is the relationship between the production, logistics and marketing. Now we saw the interface activities, and if we do not keep a strong focus on that, whether these activities are for example, who takes the responsibility of these activities, then there can be many organizational failures. So the internal supply chain of the organization is to be managed very efficiently. These interface activities between logistics and production are, for example, product scheduling, plant location and purchasing, and these interface activities between logistics and marketing are actually customer service standards, pricing, packaging and retail location. Then I also highlighted these logistics to marketing relationship in this schematic diagram, where I said that out of the 4 P's, when we talk about the place, and then with that place, because the logistics management is the whole process through which that product is delivered to that location, then customer service service levels are also defined by the link between marketing and logistics. Then I also discussed that there is a strong relationship between logistics and production process. And I explained that in terms of cost it is also very important, and it actually starts with these two. The coordination between logistics and production starts with the scheduling and the basic strategy. The basic strategy might be made to order, and strategy might be to make the product to stock. Now these two strategies define the relationship between the logistics and production process, and then the response of the production actually affects the time in which the customer is served, and that is actually the responsibility of logistics as well. So actually all these areas, for example, I talked about the costs and the trade-offs between, for example, the production lot affects the inventory levels, and that also affects the transport efficiency. The production response affects the transportation cost, which I was just discussing, and that affects the customer services that you are targeting. And then the production and warehousing locations are interrelated with each other. So there is a strong relationship between logistics to production. And then in the end of this lecture, I was discussing the logistics and supply chain in the diverse areas, the broader areas. I gave many examples that we were discussing, from car companies to packaging and bottling of cold drinks, were related to manufacturing, which are most common examples found in many books. But then I also gave you certain examples which are related to the environment, because environment causes restrictions on the use of certain goods and services. So for example, environment protection for petroleum, from petroleum products, or carbon emissions, and all those things are related to supply chain, and the supply chain process is affected by these environmental restrictions. We also discussed those examples. Then I talked about the services, that we mostly assume that supply chain is related to the physical product, but when we are talking about the services, that is also an important aspect that is affected, because there are customer survey, there are like for example McDonald's and Marriott, and there are in most of the cases physical goods and services also moving around to ensure that that specific set of services provided to the customer. Then I talked about non-for-profit organizations, which area has been little explored, but it does exist, and logistics and supply chain management are important aspect of that also. Then there is for example, I talked about in military, logistics is one of the important aspects of success of any military venture. Now we come to the end of our lecture, and definitely we would move on in this area. I hope we have developed a certain level of interest in this topic, and see you next time. Take care.